Last week, we embarked on this journey, how the eternal wisdom how we can look at life and how every aspect of life can be enriched with the help of this profound wisdom, Sanatana Dharma. We said eternal principles are those which never die. Eternal means something which has a profound relevance to our lives. It has a solution to every concern that we experience today. So the conscious effort is not to go into the subtler realms of the philosophy where the truth is so profound, because it is very easy to slip into the pure philosophy, but sadly many people, in fact most, can't really relate to it, though it is very entertaining, it's very enterprising to talk about the higher truths, the highest in fact. Just to give you an idea what is the highest truth declared by the Shastras. The highest truths declared by the Shastras, they say, is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is the reality. The entire world that you're experiencing is an illusion. That's the highest declarations of the Shastras. Now, how many of us can actually digest that essential teachings of Vedanta? That would be very demanding on most seekers. So the attempt is to bring it down to a level where you can apply it. That's why we are looking at it as an applied philosophy. So as the last session, we said how the wisdom can be looked at from the first objective or the first primary purpose of everyone's life is everybody is consciously or unconsciously doing these two, which is acquisition and enjoyment. Just a quick recap. I remember I asked you all a question. Ashwati, if you can just type out the question for all of us, it would help me get to it soon. So as I've said, there are two primary objectives. One is acquisition and enjoyment. Everybody is involved in it. Acquisition refers to your material quotient. Enjoyment refers to your spiritual quotient. So one is your outer aspect of your personality, another is the inner aspect of your personality. And we learned that there is a lopsided development at large. I'm not being specific to a community or a society. But when you look at large, there is a lopsided development. People are rich materially, but not really rich spiritually. So they are rich outward, but not inward. You may ask me, why is it? Because they have not invested their time and effort in their inner development as much as they have invested time in their outer transformation. Now, what's also important that we learned, that these two are essential aspects of your personality. There is the material aspect and the spiritual aspect. And these two aspects are independent aspects. One is not dependent on the other. I may be materially well off. It doesn't necessarily translate that it transforms me spiritually well as well. I could have all that money can buy, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm peaceful and happy and contented with it. Our Shastras glorify this point, just to drive home the point that you can have any amount of the world, but you may not be contented with it. And the classic example was Ravana. Ramayana glorifies this point so candidly, just to convey it to us that you can reach a level. In fact, it is colloquially, it is said, if one is indulging, one is trying to ostentatiously display his wealth and what that wealth can buy, it is said, oh, you are living life like a Ravana. They say it's all Ravana's comfort. I don't think we should have comfort, but not Ravana's comfort. So it's a colloquial usage where you say that you should not go to that ostentatious display where you don't have any. There's no need to have all that pomp and show. And you know what happened to Ravana? He fell a prey to that demon within, the desire. He wanted Sita, and that destroyed him and destroyed his kingdom and destroyed his whole lineage. Everything gone. So we learned this very important point that one is not dependent on the other. And what does the Shastras say to acquisition enjoyment? The Shastras have no objection to acquisition enjoyment. They don't put a quantitative limit, nor do they put a qualitative tab. In fact, on the contrary, the Shastras glorify men of wisdom being royalty. In fact, there is a very beautiful term known as Raja Rishihi. A Raja and a Rishi. We have heard of kings, we have heard of saints, but the Shastras glorify Raja Rishi. Means you can have the material comforts. At the same time, you can inject that spiritual wisdom through that attitude of renunciation. You may have it, but you don't need to fall a prey to it. You don't have to run behind it. You don't have to chase it. You can have all that you want. So the question we asked is, do you feel a sense of thirst or do you feel a sense of fullness? And that's where, correct Ashwati, I asked this question, that are you acquiring the world? You'll invariably, as long as you're active, as long as you are performing any kind of action, it is going to produce some resources. You're going to be benefited in some way or the other. So where are you operating from a platform of thirst or fullness was the question. And that's where Vilas concluded. So just to bring you, those of you who are coming for the first time, I see Swaminathan ji is joining. I don't know whether you were there last week, sir. Good to have you. All right. So just to also let you know that these sessions are intended to be a very interactive. So I do ask a lot of questions, and I am open to receiving any questions, because it's that process of dialogue is what really that does justice to this wisdom. So Ashwati, so I will start with you if you have an answer to that question.
So I would like to say a place of fullness instead of thirst. I don't necessarily chase for the materialistic things. I think I chase for what is something internally that I feel, and by default, I guess the material things come. I will try to be better at it, and there is room for improvement. So
yeah, but not trying to be personal here, but what is the implication if one is operating from a platform of thirst, or one is operating from a platform of fullness? What is the implication?
The implication is that you don't understand your goal in life, right? So as it relates to the goal in life, are you necessarily chasing the material things that you think is going to give you the happiness, or something more? So if you are constantly thirsting for materialistic things, you're never going to be satisfied. And if you're looking at it from a perspective of fullness, whatever you receive as a material reward for your actions that you put out, that is something that you can be content with.
You're absolutely right. Indeed, indeed. Yeah. You are echoing all the right thoughts, how it should be, and blessed at your young age. And if you're grounded in this clarity, I believe you will have a very, you wouldn't be disillusioned what life is. Right. Right? Okay. Anand, any thoughts?
Hariom Guruji.
Yes, sir.
No other, I mean, I think you mentioned last time, and it was good to get the notes too. Like the gross cannot control the subtle, where I think was what Ashwati was mentioning there. And I think personally, it's more, it can change from situation to situation, day to day. What are you experiencing that day, and how do you keep that focus in mind?
But what do you mean change situation? What do you mean day to day?
I mean, as you go through experiences day to day, you go through highs and lows, and you experiences different situations, different people, and how do you keep that focus and goal in mind, where in terms of the question that you asked, like, are you coming from thirst or fullness? And I think you can be depending on different situations, I mean, which you experience, whether it's at work, whether it's at personal, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, evening. And I think it's more the discipline of how do you want to keep that focus of going from a place of fullness versus thirst.
No, it is an attunement. You need to be well grounded once you're established. In fact, as we said, that whether you're operating from a thirst or fullness actually determines your spiritual quotient.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So a person who is spiritually evolved operates from that sense of fullness. A person who is not that established in wisdom feels that thirst or the urge. And I'll clarify further. Let me hear from others and I'll clarify. And I get what you're saying, Anand. Appreciate. Okay. Yes, Swaminathan Jalo.
Hello, namaskar. Thank you. Yeah, I missed the last class. My friend, classmate Vijay Raghavan from Coimbatore referred your session to me. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, I guess not too far from where you are. And I really have this opportunity to tune in. And yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We are very far, actually. I'm in South India and you are in Texas.
Oh, God, yeah, okay. Because this isn't mentioned. So you all have to get up quite early. Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did send me the PDF document. I think you shared. I read it. It's a very, very enlightening and very comprehensive summary you have put together. And I'm a retired engineer in Texas, and I right now do not have any thirst for any additional wealth or material or anything. As you know, the sequence of things most of us in this meeting probably know, where you go through the dharma, artha, kama, moksha stage. I think I'm probably in the fourth stage of life, I think, at this point. So all my interest is trying to see how I can help others. And I built a school not too far from Coimbatore. So yeah, in terms of not having thirst, I guess, depending on what stage in life you are, and a lot of working and fully employed professionals, I think that's part of their karma and duty to accumulate wealth, I guess, to take care of family or whatever need they have. But at the same time, I think Rashwati or whoever, she just mentioned, yeah, essentially a mind of contentment, which I think has to be there all along. So I think my question is whether, no matter what stage in life you are, isn't it an important thing to have contentment so that you don't really have that thirst for more wealth or whatever material stuff that you have.
Very, very true. Glad you could join, Swaminathanji. And I can relate to what you're saying. Irrespective of whatever stage of life, it's paramount that you must be contented, isn't it? Because we say, when you're not contented, there is that urge, that thirst, that obsession for more. You want more and more. And you believe that there is happiness, or you believe that there is contentment in things that you don't have.
Yeah.
And that is not right at any phase of your life, at any stage of your life.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we do not appreciate what we have and always trying to find something we don't have. So
absolutely,
maybe, and like Gandhiji mentioned, we have everything for the needy, but not enough for the greedy. So I guess greed doesn't have any limit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Feel free at any time you would like to clarify, contribute, be a part of this dynamic discussion. So those people who experience this sense of thirst in the Bhaj Govindam, there is this famous verse from the second verse. In fact, I keep referring it so often. There you go. I hope you can see, all of you can see it. Yeah. The verse says, let's chant this, and you get to that spirit of what the mantra is saying. Mudha jahi hidha nagama trishna kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishna yallabhase nija karmopatam vittam te navi nodaya chitam. So the text is, the Guru is appealing to give up your thirst for acquiring and aggrandizing wealth. And instead, he says, you entertain the thoughts of the reality. Don't occupy your mind by constantly running behind the world, because there is no end to that. It's insatiable. That the desire to acquire is insatiable. So you need, instead of that, create thought of the higher. And the moment you do that, you will experience that you can find contentment with whatever wealth you have obtained through your actions, which are of a higher caliber, a higher order. In fact, rajasic actions, we say, rajas is actions prompted by desire. Rajasic actions, they keep drawing you out into the world more and more, and you don't find any contentment in that. But the moment you continue to perform actions, but make them of a sattvic nature, instantly you find there is that peace and contentment. So the attempt is to remain as active and dynamic, and yet not fall a prey to the mind, not fall a prey to the senses, not fall a prey to the thirst. The thirst, as I've said, is that uncontrollable urge within you. And it is this creates that mental insecurity within you. As let me Khalil Gibran, he puts it so beautifully. He says, is not dread of thirst when your well is full and the thirst that is unquenchable, he says. The thirst in you, remember, it's not that it can be satisfied today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, or after that I'm done with it. No. He says the thirst in you is unquenchable. And yet your well is full. It's not that your coffers are empty, your coffers are full, your well is full, and yet your thirst is unquenchable. So if you understand it this way, there are two types of people in the world. You find there are people, one set of people are insecure without the wealth of the world. They believe they want more and more, and they believe the more they have, the more secure they are. Another type of people are insecure with the wealth of the world. So you must examine these profound truths. You must figure it out for yourself, because there is so much truth in it. That is the wealth, any amount of external wealth, external success, external glory cannot give you that internal comfort, cannot give you that internal satisfaction or internal peace. And I would like to share a few beautiful sayings. Shakespeare, in one of his plays, he says, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Everybody wants the world, but the moment you have the world, remember, along with that comes such uneasiness, such insecurity. So have you invested in your inner self? Have you invested in your spiritual well-being, that you have the capacity to also truly enjoy what the world gives you without the fear of losing it? That's not easy. In fact, quoting Mahatma Gandhi, he says, fearlessness is the first prerequisite of the spiritual life. If you really want to lead a spiritual life, you must somehow try and inculcate this quality of fearlessness. Continuing a line of thought, Swami Ramatirtha says it very beautifully. Remember, iron and gold are good for buying iron and gold. You can't buy anything beyond iron and gold with iron and gold. In what sense he's saying that with gross things, you can only exchange gross things with something tangible. You can't get anything better off than that. You can't give yourself that peace and comfort, nor can you give yourself true happiness. It is not there. You must realize it. You must realize it from your own past experiences. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will learn some wisdom in the future. There's enough wisdom in your own life and your past experiences. Retrospect, when you look back, you realize that your life teaches us all this. Your own experiences teach us. But foolishly, we keep running behind the world, thinking its happiness is in something that you don't have. Another beautiful saying, it says, don't gain the world and lose your soul. Happiness is better than silver and gold. Now, I'm not saying to give up your silver and gold, please. You please hold on to silver and gold. Keep it in your safe lockers. Keep it wherever you want it. But realize that it is not there in it. I don't want it. No man of substance will want it or covet it. You may have it and I will not covet it. If I'm coveting it, that talks of my childishness. Something which really makes me think, and it's so true. Money never made a man happy yet, nor will it. There's nothing in its nature to produce happiness. The more a man has, the more he wants. Instead of filling a vacuum, it creates one. I'm just reiterating the point through various angles. To possess money is very well. It may be a valuable servant, but to be possessed by it is to be possessed by devil. And one of the meanest and the worst kinds of devil, he says. I don't know who said it. And all of this sentiment which we are trying to bring out is not to demonize wealth. What we are trying to say, end of it. I said, it's essential that you need this material quotient. It's an essential aspect of your life. We're not demonizing it. What are we demonizing here? Not wealth per se. In fact, wealth is worshipped, Arpitji, isn't it? You agree? In our culture, you worship wealth. So it is not to demonize it, but rather, and yet we are demonizing. So I just want to clarify, it's not the wealth that is being demonized. There's nothing wrong with whatever you need to go and get it. Please get it. As long as your wealth can buy, go and get it. No harm with it. Advance. You must advance materially and spiritually. But what are we demonizing here, Arpitji? I'll come to you, Sureshji.
Yeah, I think the demonization is it's almost like the giving it primacy over everything else, right? So it's this being possessed by wealth, having it as your primary purpose. That's not the purpose. It's a supporting actor, right? It's you need the wealth in order to reach your ultimate purpose. And then, you know, you went back, and I thought it was a great way to start today's discussion, that, you know, we're talking about applied philosophy, right? And so you can get caught up in all this, which some of us often do, right? We get caught up by all the mystery and magic of all the things we're learning. But the reality is that the truth is that we've got to use these tools, use these mechanisms to advance ourselves in that sort of practical personal development piece, right? You need that, because without it, then you'll inevitably be brought, you'd have to be very strong. You'll be constantly, you'll have anxiety over, oh, gee, I don't have this, I don't have that. If indeed, you know, going back to what Ashwati-ji said, you have a purpose in mind, right? You want to move forward, but if you can't, then you'll struggle, right? You'll have that turbulence if you don't have wealth and you don't have the support of your spouse or your family or whatever it is that has you moving along this sort of venerable path, right? Which is what we all, I think, what we all aspire to. Even we may not know it, but that's what we all aspire to.
Sorry, RPG, for a moment I lost the question. And then I remembered, oops, yes.
Sorry.
Not at all. No, I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's not the other, just real quick, you know, as I was listening to the other students, you've often talked and you read about permanent versus impermanent, right? And so this wealth that we're chasing, that sort of material piece, is impermanent. And whether we know it or not, because of ignorance or just sheer lack of interest, we are chasing something permanent. And this impermanent thing we think is great until we find out it's run out, or it's not the color we like, or the right fabric, or the size, or whatever qualities you're looking for. And so then we go thinking, well, we'll go get something else. And then we find out it's also impermanent. And so this void materializes, and we're filling a void, unbeknownst to many, not until we got into these discourses did we know there was a void, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know. So we're filling with something that we now know is impermanent, isn't going to help in the long run. Even in the, again, going back to your wonderful start, this applied philosophy, it's not going to help. Even in just the earthly personal development, it's not going to help, except that you need it to keep you moving forward. It's just
Absolutely.
a practical. So sorry.
No, I'm with you. In fact, as we often say, if the knowledge that you have or appreciate, if it doesn't reflect in changing your perception to life, if it doesn't change the course of your action, I would question the very knowledge or the wisdom that I appreciate. It must bring about a transformation, however insignificant it may be. If I'm still running behind that next desire, the next object of desire, or the next holiday, or the next possession, or the something next that is constantly hanging, dangling, is like a bone beyond the reach of a dog. And if you're constantly trying to get that, and I talk philosophy, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't augur to the wisdom that I believe in, or the values that I want to imbibe. I'm not saying don't go for another holiday. I'm not saying don't go and buy a new car. I'm not saying don't go and get what you want. Go ahead. But believe that it is requirement based. It's not an anxiety driven acquisition. It's not an insecurity driven acquisition. We can't run away from the world. We all need to live in the world. We not all need to clad ourselves. We all need to protect ourselves. But that doesn't mean, as you rightly said, that is not the only objective or the purpose of life, is to run behind. So we are not demonizing wealth here, certainly. What we are demonizing is falling a prey to it. We're becoming a slave to the material acquisition and enjoyment. Don't fall a prey to it. That's all the Shastras are cautioning us. Yes, Sureshji. What is Sureshji? What is this branding of yours? James Bond has got 007. You have got 8, is it? You have taken over 8 as your number, is it?
Then I don't know. One of my students created this WhatsApp ID. I don't know why that G8 comes. I have to check with him actually, because I use Zoom very sparingly. Anyway, right. Coming back to what I wanted to say, one of the most beautiful books for the spiritual aspirant is Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. So in the context of this material wealth and higher aspirations, there is a beautiful chapter in this book, which is titled Two Penniless Boys in Vrindavan. Yogananda's brother, he wants to veer him away from the spiritual path. And then, he says material acquisitions and ambitions are so important. But Yogananda says, no, my faith in the Mother Goddess is such that she will take care of me day in and day out. Then the brother says, this morning at 5 o'clock, I will put you on, because they are in Agra. Yogananda is with his brother in Agra. 6 o'clock this morning, we leave at 5. I'll put you on the train to Vrindavan. I will thoroughly check you, and I'm sending a friend with you to see that, he keeps a watch on you. You will not have a single pie, a single penny. The friend will not have a single penny. Your assignment is go to Vrindavan, spend the whole day, return to Agra by 1 o'clock in the night. And I only bought the ticket from Agra to Vrindavan. Let's see how you spend your time without a single penny till 12 in the night, and how you will come back to Agra. Let me see how the Mother Goddess helps you. And such a beautiful chapter. You can't read that chapter without shedding tears. How the Mother Goddess takes care of him, and he returns to Agra at 1 o'clock in the night. So as you said, Guruji, we are talking of how we would like to be centered. Would I like to be centered in the divine even as I go about my worldly duties? Then I am on the path.
That's very, very important, isn't it? You need to be centered, carrying on all what your duty demands you to do, isn't it? Whatever duty. Well referred, Sureshji. Maybe I can, with my little knowledge of Zoom, we will try to rebrand you.
Beg your pardon?
We will rebrand you, sir. Not G8, we will rebrand you.
Yeah,
I'll
please,
help you
please.
with that.
I just don't know why.
No issues. Yeah, Setuji.
Hariom Guruji.
Hariom, sir.
You were just telling we should question the knowledge when things don't happen. I feel I now strongly believe in this knowledge. More than questioning the knowledge, we have to question ourselves. In spite of being in class and listening, attending so many lectures, if there is no transformation in us, I think something wrong with us. We should, where we are.
I thought you're going to say something wrong with the Guru.
No,
Please don't say that.
Something,
in spite of listening so much, nothing is happening. This fellow is useless fellow,
What I learned is we are only doing Shravanam and not Mananam. That is what. So it's not the question of questioning the knowledge. Knowledge is supreme because it is eternal.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So the importance, as Setuji brought out, is the real, Anand, you were also mentioning of the ups and downs, the challenges that one goes through. But the real crux of the effort, which everybody should do, which we do it, and it's a part of our exercise, is early hours. Perhaps I would request or suggest 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., that early morning, that 1 hour at least to begin with, is to consolidate the teachings. When you start reflecting on these ideas that you believe in, you certainly believe there's some truth in it. But when you start reflecting, what reflection does is it's a conscious. Now, when you attend to lectures or when you listen to gurus or when you read books, it is only information that you're gathering from external sources. But when you sit with yourself, when you reiterate these ideas, those reiterated thoughts, which is known as reflection, conscious reiteration, they give you wisdom. That process digests the knowledge. And once that knowledge gets assimilated, becomes a part of you, then you automatically follow it. You start living it. It starts translating into action. So when you don't do reflection, what happens is the knowledge remains as information. So the real wisdom is through the digestion of knowledge, not constantly acquiring more knowledge. So therefore, it's very safe to conclude to the first aspect of acquisition and enjoyment, that you can continue to acquire, you will continue to acquire wealth in some form or the other, but do so without feeling a sense of thirst or without a sense of insecurity. Don't be a slave to acquisition and enjoyment. Be a master. And if you're able to maintain that authoritative stance to this requirement that you need to acquire for whatever we need, but do not fall a prey to it. As long as you maintain that stance, I think you're safe. You got the bull by the horns. Now, the second aspect of the eternal wisdom. Yes, Hariji.
See,
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
we experience every day that when we forget about the wealth and when we are not thinking about wealth and the external world, we have got the maximum peace. That is during the deep sleep. When we are fully awake and when we are thinking about the wealth and acquisition and all, we are maximum stressed. Whereas when we are in deep sleep, we are most peaceful and most happy, which is a solid proof that by turning our senses outward, we can only outward in the sense that acquisition and trying to enjoy, we will enjoy least. Whereas when we have turned ourselves within and trying to get into the core of our own self, we have got the maximum peace and maximum enjoyment. This is something which we experience every day, everybody, without any exception.
Therefore, tasmat, we all should sleep more and less. Don't wake up.
No. That is.
Thank you. I hope you would not. You will not conclude. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it is only turning. The meaning is that we will not get peace from the external world.
There is no peace. Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. So there's enough wisdom in our own experiences. We don't tap it. That's about all. Now, moving on. This is the chart that we showed last session, the various aspects that we would cover. So the second aspect is how the eternal wisdom helps us to relate with your happiness. Now, the word happiness can either synonymously be used as contentment, can also be used as satisfaction, if not any other word. But what is happiness? Happiness is the terminus of life. When we say terminus, everybody is trying to consciously or unconsciously try and reach. So there's a relentless search for happiness. And I don't want to ask this question because I know the answer. None of us have found it. Everybody is searching. Some of us have searched for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, and we are still searching for happiness. But if you have been searching so long, why is it you have not found it? Haraprasad Garu, if I can ask you, sir, if everybody is so relentlessly, seriously searching for happiness, why is it that they haven't found it? Sir, we can't hear you. Would you? Can you please? Yes. Now we can. Yes, please.
Okay, Mahodaya. Namaste.
Namaskar.
The reason is, I believe that we are not concentrating on that aspect. Why we are not finding happiness with all the acquisitions we have done? What is the reason? And that is the reason.
Which is the reason? Sorry, I missed you on that.
Okay. The reason is we have to find out why we are not being happy with all the acquisitions that we have done? What is the reason that we are not happy? That is what we have to ponder about.
That is what we are doing right now, sir.
Yes, sir.
The effort is to initiate a very candid discussion on that. Yes, in spite of all that we have acquired, in spite of the search for happiness, we have not found it. Humanity has not found it. The question is why? You're right. We should all be very sincerely questioning and introspect on this very candid question. Why is it?
I have absolutely no idea, even zero idea why we have not found it.
Thank you, sir. So I appreciate your honesty, because many times we seem to say I know that also, you know. So we have a knowledge and answer for everything. Appreciate your your candidness. Thank you, thank you. You know, there's a beautiful explanation for it, and perhaps it can enlighten us. And every time I talk of it, it does go a little deeper. It does go a little stronger into your mind. Why, in spite of all the effort, why has humanity not found happiness? Is because they are searching for it where it isn't. We are searching for happiness in the world of things and beings, of names and forms, and you believe happiness is in that color and form. You believe happiness is in the external world, and any amount of search, any amount of acquisition, any amount of amassing it, any amount of possessing it is not going to give you, because there is no happiness in it. All it can do to you, as the great philosopher Ramatirtha, he puts it and says, you will only get to a point where you will reach a point where you are caught up in a snare of 99. A snare, as you know, is you've got caught up or trapped in this vicious cycle of wanting. And it is that vicious cycle of wanting more, or one more, as you would say. So a person at 99 wants one more. So it is that cycle of wanting one more. You get caught up, trapped in that. So there is no happiness in the external world. Arthur Schopenhauer puts it so beautifully. He says it is difficult to find happiness in oneself. It is difficult to find happiness in oneself. It is impossible to find it anywhere else. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Now, what does he mean by that? When he says this, what does he mean? It is difficult to find within oneself. It is impossible to find it anywhere else. That's what I'm saying. You are searching for it where there isn't, so you will not find it. But the moment you put half the effort in the right direction, so happiness is not in the external world. Happiness is in the introverted. It's an introverted aspect. Happiness is an internal phenomenon. It is not measured by your external pursuit. So it's not outward, it's inward. So if you change the direction inward, instantly you will find it. Instantly you realize it, that it is there. In fact, to that point, Christ says, your kingdom of heaven is within you. The famous words of the great Christ. He said, the kingdom is within you. And we, like paupers or beggars, are going out into the world trying to believe it is out there. It's not out there, it's within you. So only the rare few who have directed their search inward have realized and have hit that fountainhead of happiness. And such people who have reached that quintessential core, they voice out the truth that don't fall a prey to the external, turn inward within and find it. So as Sidhu rightly says, we all must take a U-turn. The moment you take your search inward, you will find it. And it's a journey inward. Through our own experiences, have we not seen you have got power, you have got wealth, you have got beauty, you have got knowledge, you have got health. But a person who has got power wants a little more power. A person who has knowledge wants a little more knowledge. Person who has wealth wants a little more wealth. Why is it that you're not satisfied with all that you have? Why are people avaricious? Somebody asked a question to Ramatirtha. Why are people avaricious? And he answered so beautifully. Surajji is a beautiful answer, he said. Why are people avaricious? He said, why not? He said, what you are seeking is infinite happiness. Innately, you are seeking that. And there is a reason you're not contented, because anything finite cannot satisfy your infinite urge within you. You want that infinite. Indirectly, unknowingly, you are quoting your original nature, which is the self. Your real nature is the self. Unknowingly, you're quoting it. So any amount of finite is not going to give you that infinite urge that you're seeking in anything that you do. So you must realize, so the most important point we must realize is, don't search for it where it isn't. It's like you're looking for a document. You have left the document at your home and you're scanning every possible file at office. You brought that file to home, you left it at your desk at home, and you're searching at office. You'll not find it there because it's not there. As absurd as it may sound. You're searching for it where it isn't. And that is the sign of ignorance. Only an ignorant person will be enchanted by the world and also prey to that. It's ignorance. Oh, sir, I know this happiness is within. Then why are you not searching it there? It's not the mere question of knowing, my dear friends. If your journey is not in that direction, if you have not changed the course of your actions and you don't know it, in philosophy, there is nothing as theory and practice. In philosophy, they say, if you know it, you must live it. If you don't live it, you don't know it. They're very clear. There's no, oh, first I will learn and then I'll go and practice it. There's no knowing and practicing. If you claim to know it, you must live it. Yes, Suryaji. If you don't live it, if it doesn't translate into action, you don't know it. So your living your living quotient is what that measures how much you know. It's not the information quotient here. Sadly, we are well informed. We are all information bureau. We may quote and twist and refer to great philosophers or authors, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm wise. Yes, Suryaji.
There is that famous story, Guruji, that the Lord wanted to give man the secret for lasting happiness, but he wanted man to mingle. Where shall I hide it? Should I hide it in the depths of the ocean or in the unreachable terrain of the mountain? Where shall I hide it? And the angel said, hide it inside man. He will never look for it there.
So true. I tell you, they make a joke of our stupidity. Sir, you must write a book of all your stories, sir, please. I will buy it. I'll certainly endorse it. Sir, I'm reminded in the same context of a story which I keep quoting. There was an elderly lady on a roadside. She was searching very, very seriously, with great difficulty, with a hunchback, with a walking stick. She was searching for something. A passerby sees the old lady struggling for something and he gets on to helping her. A few other people, as it happens in India, it's an entertainment, so they also join the crowd, and then a group of 5-10 people were busy searching. And after 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, each one is nudging each other and said, what are you searching for? I don't know. I was searching and he was searching and everybody was searching. So we all started searching. And then the lead went up to the old lady. It started with her. She was searching and I started, and then it was a chain reaction. Then they went up to that lady Asked, Ma, may I know what you are searching for? To which she said, I am searching for my needle, you know. I have a needle. I have only one needle which I use to stitch my torn, tattered clothes, and I need badly because I need to repair my garment. Oh, okay. Now we know that you're searching for a needle. But may I ask you, where did you lose it? Oh, I lost it in my hut. Huh? You lost it in your hut? Where is your hut? A few 100 meters away. There. Then why are you searching under the street light here? To which she said, no, there is light here. Therefore, I'm searching. My hut is in darkness. Therefore, I can't search it there. It's as absurd as that. You're searching for something because it is bright, something because it is. Now, taking a cue from that, I ask you, what is the nature of worldly happiness? Shastri Garu has an answer. Just till now, you said you don't know, sir.
No, sir. I had a question, not an answer.
Yes, please.
So are you saying the internal happiness is not affected by external factors? Like a sickness of a child?
So, principally, I think we made this point even the first session, that the material quotient and spiritual quotient are two independent factors, because one is gross, other is subtle. And the law that substantiates the point is gross cannot influence the subtle. So happiness is of inner nature, a subtler nature. Grosser is physical and material. So you're talking about emotional attachment, right? Are you referring to that, sir? Emotions?
No, no, sir. It is
What
not
are
an
you?
emotional. It is. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Mahodaya, what I'm referring to is that external factors do affect your inner happiness. I think you cannot just overcome it just by neglecting it, saying that my true nature is happiness.
Sir, a man of wisdom will perceive the facts or realities of life. If it is heat, he experiences heat. If it is cold, he experiences cold. If it is praise, he experiences praise. If it is censure, he experiences censure. If it is joy, he can feel the joy. If it is sorrow, if he experiences sorrow. It's not that he is cold to it. He experiences the opposites of the world. But a man of wisdom, one who is anchored in that wisdom, one who is established, kutasthaha, the Sanskrit word the Shastras uses, one who is firmly rooted in wisdom, he is not tossed by these opposites. He is not affected by profit and loss at the material level. He is not affected by heat and cold at the physical, even leading up to the greatest of loss. In fact, the Shastras say a man of wisdom is like the ocean. They compare him to the ocean. Why they compare him to the ocean? Millions and quadrillions of gallons of water are pumped into the ocean every day, every minute. As you are talking, the oceans are pumped in, the rivers are going into the ocean. It never happens that the rivers swell. Imagine all these mighty rivers they dry up in extreme heat. There's drought. There's no water that goes into the ocean. You'll never find that the ocean sinks substantially. There's a marginal change of the river, sorry, the ocean, but it doesn't mean it affects the ocean. So you become like that unchanging, unaffected state where you experience it, but you're not affected by it. It's not that you don't feel, you certainly experience. If somebody criticizes you, you understand that criticism and you understand it is his point of view, what you are. If somebody praises you, you understand that person's sentiment, but you're not carried away either by criticism or are you carried away by praise. You're well grounded in the realities of life. So, principally speaking, sir, I don't know personally where you're coming from, but principally speaking, one who has found that inner happiness, that remains unaffected by anything external, because the true nature of happiness is it is permanent. It is not impermanent. It doesn't get affected. And I don't know, I don't have any more words to explicitly say that the external doesn't affect the internal. But if it is beyond your ability to handle it, obviously it affects you, because I don't have the wisdom to handle it. But one who has that wisdom, he is not affected by the greatest loss is no loss. The greatest gain is no gain. He is well grounded. He experiences loss. He perceives the loss, but not affected by the loss. You experience the gain. You experience the joy, but not affected by the gain or the joy. They're two different things. I hope that gives you a picture as to what that state of perfection is. Right, Shastri Garu? Thank you. So I was asking a question. What is the nature of worldly pleasures? Swaminathanji, if I can ask you this question, sir. What do you think is the nature of worldly happiness?
Well, like you so far had an excellent discussion. Essentially, happiness you do not find outside. So essentially, look within. I mean, if you look at the word for God in Tamil is kadavul. So you are actually cross within or look within. So essentially, you are either you are happy or unhappy. I don't know how many of you actually remember. I just get this thought from the U.S. Declaration of Independence, which states life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I point out, even though they wrote that, there is a huge, big fallacy in that statement. You can never pursue happiness. So, and one of the jokes is, why don't we all stop pursuing happiness and just be happy? So you, no matter how much, like you mentioned, no matter how much material you have, and if you have that greed and unquenchable thirst, then we are never going to be happy. So it's almost impossible to find the happiness in the material wealth. As of course, you have to have a minimum, as per the Maslow's hierarchy needs, you have to have the minimum to sustain you and have the basic needs are met. I mean, if you don't have those, then you're going to be miserable. And that's the last thing you will be actually contemplating will be, how am I going to find happiness when you're trying to find your next meal, where it is coming from. So I guess if you have everything and you have a comfortable material life, and I really think, like you said, the happiness has to come from within. I don't know what other answer I can think of.
So, no, what you're saying is absolutely right. My question is, what is the nature of worldly pleasures?
Oh, the nature of worldly pleasures.
We established that happiness is inward. We established that happiness is permanent. It is not in the outward charms of the world. We have already established that. I'm just trying to build a concept of happiness, how the eternal wisdom analyzes various facets of the various aspects around happiness. One is this. The second point I'm trying to drive home is, what is the nature of worldly pleasures? If you can answer the question.
Yeah, I'm having difficulty in trying to dig into the meaning of the question itself, the nature of the worldly pleasures. I mean, essentially, what you can say the eating and the sleeping and all some of the physical activities we do, which are perceived as pleasurable. And again, I mean, the nature, if you want to hit one word, it is very quite temporary.
This is what I was getting at. The nature of
the
correct.
Yeah.
Right. So the nature of worldly pleasures or happiness you derive from the sense contact. Any contact driven is, as you rightly said, one is temporal. It's passing, it's fleeting, transient. Rightly said. But there's another nature. Let me see what RPG has to say. Thank you, Swaminathanji.
Guruji, there's an aspect of worldly pleasures. You know, we talk about the kind of diminishing returns or the quantum of worldly pleasures. It's not, you know, the old example was ice cream. You know, I might have ice cream today and then I'll have it tomorrow in the afternoon, and then I'll have it in the evening, but it's diminishing. So the third bowl of ice cream doesn't give me the same pleasure as the first.
When I come there, we'll do this.
Excellent.
You've got
we have some very good vegan ice cream here.
Yeah, vegan I can. Yeah, vegan, non-vegan also allow for you. But hope you have got the dates blocked.
Yes, I do.
Anand, if you don't get Arpit, get it right now from him. He's difficult to get hold of. When you see him, please get the dates.
Anandji is in Anandji's courts.
Yeah, we talked.
The ball is in your court. You have not tossed it back yet to him.
No, we talked, and we have the dates. Thank you.
No issue. Yes, so the diminishing value, we will forget the philosophy and we'll enjoy the ice cream. Don't talk philosophy there, right? In the ice cream parlor, please.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, fair enough. Yeah. We've got to be very clear. Objective is very clear. I'm only coming to see you is to have ice cream. That's all.
Okay.
And anything else additional, right?
Militji's cooking, you'll enjoy.
Oh yeah, that's there. That I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to deal with Amma. So, what is the nature of worldly happiness? In fact, the famous reference. Sorry, Arviji, I had to interrupt there. But you're right that diminishing value comes in. But I'm not looking at it from that perspective. But talking about the worldly pleasures, they say the nature of worldly happiness is twofold. They say the nature of worldly happiness, it is tempting. The worldly pleasures, the sense objects have that quality that they draw you to them. They are attractive, they're tempting, they're tantalizing. And the joy they offer to you is passing, is fleeting, is temporal. These are the two salient qualities of any worldly happiness derived from sense contact. Any sensual pleasure is attractive, it's glamorous, you're right, it is tempting, it is tantalizing. Secondly, it is fleeting, it is temporal, it's passing. And this is conveyed through in Ramayana when Sita saw the golden deer. Ashwati, so this is what it means. So what does the word golden mean?
It means unique, it means eye-catching, desirable, beautiful.
Right. Nice choice of words. Eye-catching, desirable, wanting. That is the golden. And the deer symbolizes?
Just innocence, adventure, mystery.
No, we're not talking of that aspect of the deer here. Sita wanted the deer. She summoned Rama, go and get the deer for me. And deer is so fast. You want to catch a deer in the wild is impossible. So it is trying to convey it is fleeting. You can't get hold of it. So it doesn't stay with you. It doesn't You can't retain that happiness, what you derive from the world. That's what RPG said. You let's say you buy a latest phone or the latest car or a beautiful house or something that you are fascinated with, you get it. How long does that object have the charm for you?
Until you see the next thing, and then you're like, wow, maybe I should just, step up and get the other thing. So.
In the poem other day, no, you're absolutely right. I'm just thinking of an example to convey this. In fact, yesterday night was the concluding day. Yesterday evening, in fact, late evening was the concluding day of the 4-day public lectures we had in Hyderabad. And in one of the days, I was quoting the poem "The Pineapple and the Bee" by William Cooper. The beautiful poem, "The Pineapple and the Bee." The poet tries to tell of a bee which is looking for crannies in a frame to a pineapple pudding. It is trying to find an entry into that pineapple pudding, and it doesn't find an entry point. And the second example, it talks of a man looking at a young lady in a chariot who admires her beauty from a distance. The third, he talks of a lady who looks at a gown in a shop, and she says, what is separating me and that object is that cruel glass in between, he says. So when you said the next thing, let's say you buy a beautiful gown, how long is it going to give you happiness until you see another gown somewhere or something else, right?
Yeah.
That's how life is. So the nature of happiness, of worldly pleasures, is passing, it's fleeting. You got to understand that. Right. Thanks, Ashwati. I think we have just, if you ask me, we have just warmed up to understand the concept of happiness, just warmed up. There are 4 or 5 aspects I really wanted to highlight, but it's just about time. What I would do is I would leave you all with a question. We have not actually defined what happiness is so far. We have spoken of it. Can you please define what is happiness? That's the question for you all. We'll come back again the following Sunday to carry our journey into the 6-week interactive course of how eternal wisdom can help us look at various aspects of life. We have a lot of ground to cover, but we will do justice to various aspects. The objective is to have a healthy dialogue rather than covering the text, but those salient aspects will be certainly touched on in the course of the next 4 sessions. And it'll be lovely to have many more of you. So to those of you who are there from US, do spread the word, do let them know. I hope it is a convenient time for you all there, because that was the initial discussion, Anand. Maybe you will have to reconnect with those who were to be a part of this journey, so we can connect outside this call just to understand and take it further. All right, so the question for next week is, what is the definition of happiness? And we'll come back. Sorry, yes, Swaminathanji?
Guruji, I have a question. Yeah, sorry, I will miss the next 2 sessions. I really love your teachings and these wonderful interactive discussions. But unfortunately, I'll be on overseas travel and won't be able to log in. And I believe these are being recorded, right? Will you make these recordings available at a later stage?
I need to ask Gayatri Ma. How is it going, Gayatri Ma?
We have a group where I'm posting it, but some of the new people who have come, I need to have their contact number. I'll take it through Anant or somebody and include them. if they are willing for that to be in the part of the group.
So would you mind leaving your number in the private chat box to Gayatri Ma? If you
Okay.
can just send a direct message to her, and if you don't mind being included into a part of
Yeah,
a
please,
WhatsApp
because I
group.
got it on the WhatsApp and I didn't know how to actually send that information. So I'll be happy to.
All right. So there you will be kept of all the videos that gets uploaded or the takeaways that come your way as well.
Okay, Swami Nathan. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just sending my 444 Okay, I just sent the
Sure.
phone number.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, sir. Okay. So
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So we'll conclude with the prayer and we'll see you all soon again. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om